The door itself, I mean, you got like 4 inches on the door, so it's like trying to get through 8 inches.
Yeah, and I have, my cars are two-door,
Yeah.
so the doors are about a third wider, so it needs to be open further to get out.
They want to add excitement to Rose Lake.
But I'd like to hear your explanation.
I would only say to that there is a parking ramp that is in Coon Rapids and another one that's out towards Plymouth. They're both very large ramps. They're metro ramps. They have 8.5-foot stalls. And if the people couldn't get out, they'd all be there in their cars and there'd be nobody on the buses. And so they are getting out in one way or the other. It may not be the most convenient for you, and it may not be the most convenient for me, but certainly I've parked in ramps that have that size stall width. But quite frankly, for me, whether my doors are going to get dinged was not the consideration. Consideration was that before 2030, that ramp will be too small, according to the projections that they have for ridership on those buses. And it's conceivable in that same amount of time that we could have, although it wouldn't be right at that location, but we could have light rail with a station in that same area. And so we need to start fitting more vehicles, if we're all going to keep driving vehicles, into smaller spaces. And so that ramp will not have enough room within 15, 20 years. And so we need to give them the 1,000 spaces because they need more than that. And so that was my logic to allowing them to have 8.5-foot stalls.
Tushar.
Well, was that consideration given to going higher height than what it is? So plan for the future growth that you are just talking about?
There is I'm not sure which document it is, Mike maybe knows, but there is a document that is part of the mall's agreement that does not allow a building to be built on that site higher than the theater that used to be there. And so I'm sure that has to do with views of the mall area off of Beam and that type of thing, but the height of the building is restricted by an agreement.
But hopefully that can change over a period of time as time progresses. So.
You know, what of course we'd really like to see would be, and you know, it's amazing how you change your view as you go through things, but the mall should really have ramps so that we can have less impervious surface and more parking. But they're not going to be building those anytime soon. So we've done our best to set up a commercial center there, and then we took and put a livable, walkable Legacy Village into the mix, which, by the way, I was recently at the opening of the, what's the name of the senior housing?
The Seasons.
The Seasons. Great looking facility there. And so we're only a couple pieces away from completing that whole development there. But, you know, we took that, Maplewood took that, and really as an experiment to see if we could actually create a livable, walkable community type of setting. And I think so far it's being pretty successful. But one of the drawbacks is that there's lots of vehicles there, witnessed by the fact that we're making White Bear Avenue 6 lanes. Ramsey County, actually, with our help a little bit. And so, you know, we need to look more at this. St. John's, if they expand, there'd be a good chance that they'll need to either expand their ramp, which was set up to allow it to go higher. And I know at the time when I was on the Planning Commission, that ramp came through. I was dead set against them having a ramp to start with, let alone it being higher. And so we need to provide for more vehicles, because there'll be more.
What about different vehicle selections? The thing that comes to my mind is I was down in Tennessee and at a community down there, and they're looking at trying to minimize the amount of traffic in that community. And one of the things that they're experimenting with is the use of more and more golf cart type vehicles for people to get around and develop parking areas to accommodate golf carts. I'm thinking in Maplewood we've got the Vento Trail, we've got the Gateway Trail, and those kinds of things. And then within Legacy Village, there are a lot of sidewalks and you know, non-street kinds of things. You know, if you lived in Legacy Village and you're using a bus to get downtown, if you could drive a golf cart and park it in the parking ramp, 8.5-foot stall would be more than adequate. Is the city of Maplewood, would the city of Maplewood consider allowing slow-moving vehicles on, like, say, the Vento Trail or off-city streets on sidewalks?
I can't believe that you would think I would actually answer that question.
You're not running for office, you know.
I was gonna say, opening.
I have no idea. I mean, my first thought is that I read some articles that, one, talk about some communities, mostly down in Arizona, I believe, where the communities are kind of set up to allow that type of thing to go on. But it's difficult to imagine how we could intermix that type of vehicle with the types of vehicles that we drive now on our roadways. And so I don't really have an answer to your question, Dale, but I'm sure that as we move forward and it gets so it costs us more and more money to operate our vehicles, whatever they are, that we will become more and more efficient. And so smaller, electric, whatever.
Yeah.
Joe?
Well, I don't work downtown. I have a couple of neighbors that do, and I live in Legacy Village, and they utilize that area. And actually, they ride when they're able to. They ride their bikes and park their bikes there. It's a 3-minute bike ride from anywhere in Legacy Village to there, and a lot of people do. I would say the majority of the